Hi, beautiful community. Welcome back to another beautiful episode of Create Your Joy. My name is Ivana Leon, and I am a mindset and purpose coach. And here, my beautiful colleague, Shruti Goel. She's a self-love coach and empowerment coach. And thank you so much for coming in again. We are so excited to share this amazing and beautiful song that speaks to your soul. And I can't wait to dive into this song with Shruti, which she introduced me to this beautiful song. And I can't wait to go over it.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ivania. So great to connect with everyone. And this is a song by the name of Try by Colbie Caillat. And we know this particular singer for very easy, breezy, summery kind of songs. And so I remember it's been at least a couple of decades now that she has done this song. And when the song first came out, I was just struck by how deeply it resonated with me. And, one of the things that she touches on in this song is the fact that, especially for women, how much we are um, impacted because we're always being told we have to try and try harder and harder to fit in with other people's expectations rather than really look inward for our answers and really practice, you know, appreciating all of the outer and inner beauty that we already have. And I do want to also mention that the visuals of this song are both stunning and deeply moving because she's able to show, Colby is able to show in here how she looks when she has, the highlights in her hair and the fake eyelashes and lots of makeup. And she's very clear to say, choose to do that if that is something you truly resonate with, but don't do it just as a way of fitting in. And she's able to show like a before and after of what it looks like when she buys into the image that she has to project versus how she radiates joy and warmth when she is dressing or putting on makeup that is in line with how she is as a person. So it really was helpful to me to put something into words that I had felt for a time, and most of us do at one point or another, that we are somehow not meeting the beauty standards of the beauty industry. And I imagine, we often talk about this in the context of women, but I can easily imagine our men, having a similar experience when they look around at their magazines or, look at the standards of what it means to be a man, for instance. So let's dive into the lyrics here, and the contrast is going to be pretty interesting. So it starts off with, what are the voices that we hear from the outside, which is put your makeup on, get your nails done, curl your hair, run the extra mile, keep it slim so they like you. Do they like you? And I think this last line is very impactful because, yes, you're hearing all of these things. And when you do all of them, whoever is, let's say, the clique or the group with whom you're trying to fit in, when you do all of these things, when you follow the rules, do they actually like you? And what does that like mean? Is it genuine? What is it related to? Is it just on the outside? So it's a very powerful question here. Then it says, get your sexy on. Don't be shy, girl. Take it off. This is what you want, to belong. So they like you. Do you like you? And I'll just say very briefly, when it says, get your sexy on, don't be shy, girl, there are messages that young girls, even teenagers, will receive where it is considered bold to wear clothing that is more revealing. even if the person wearing it might feel really uncomfortable and exposed, because not everyone feels comfortable with the same kind of clothing. This is what you want to belong. And I can relate here personally to when I was in high school and coming from a very different culture, the idea that I had to, buy a dress that was going to cost me up to a few $100s to go to prom. And so I made a very unpopular decision at the age of, 17 or so. And I said, no, I won't go to prom. And I didn't go because I didn't feel that that was a good use of my money, and especially to wear a dress that would be revealing. But this is what you're told, and I was made fun of because I wasn't there. I wasn't at prom. So this is what you want, to belong. So they like you. Do you like you? And I think that's the most important thing, is at the end of the day, does it matter who on the outside likes you? Or does it matter more whether you like what you're doing to yourself? And I'll walk through the next couple of lines because, again, this is such a powerful part of this song, and it comes up again and again. And then, Ivania, I am so interested to hear your viewpoint. You don't have to try so hard. You don't have to give it all away. You just have to get up, get up, get up, get up. You don't have to change a single thing. And so in these four lines, I feel like it is such a beautiful mantra for all of us. And I think especially post-pandemic, it really resonates with me even more deeply. Meaning, you don't have to bend over backwards to fit into places where you don't belong. You don't have to give it all away, meaning give all your power away so that other people are, you feel like other people are making the decisions for you, or they're having an undue influence on your life and your time. You just have to get up, get up, get up. And I interpret this to mean, from the self-love perspective, that you have to stand up for yourself. You have to stand up for your values. You have to understand what those values are. And if you don't know what they are, maybe, do a coaching session with someone, do therapy, do some inner work so you understand who you are. And you don't have to change a single thing. By this, I mean, specifically and loudly, like, you don't have to change anything physically about yourself. So many people get caught up in, well, my nose is not straight enough. Or, I wish I could have an enhancement, a breast enhancement. Or I wish I had a more lifted posterior, or I wish I had a beauty spot on a certain point on my body, and what have you. So I think that's how I'm interpreting it, that you don't have to change a single thing sort of physically about you. That doesn't mean that you're not going to keep growing. And it's more like you take the focus off of the outside and you turn inward. And again, you don't have to try, try, try. You don't have to try, try, try. You don't have to try, try, try. You don't have to try. And in these lines, I'm hearing the desperation that some of us feel when people are giving us suggestions, like, oh, have you tried X, Y, and Z? Have you tried this other thing that's new? And that's how people get caught up in fads, and they're incessantly running after what is the new thing, rather than just taking a moment and realizing, hey, does this really align? Is this a worthy use of my energy right now? Why do I even have to pay it any mind? Right? What is working in my own life? And then kind of align yourself with the things that are truly um, in line with what you want and the kind of life that you want to create. So I'll pause there because I know you've been taking notes, and I just
I
love
do.
to hear. I love to hear. And I just want to share with our audience too that, this is one of the benefits of you tuning into this podcast, is to be able to hear how the same words can land so differently on two different individuals. And with the hope that, when we are reading news, when we're reading anything, when a story is being presented to us, that we can appreciate that more than one viewpoint can be right. And it's always a yes and when we're talking with other people present about a topic. And I think if we can do that, that expands our mind, that expands our ability to be wise as we live our lives.
Beautiful. I really like what you said, that it's to expand our mind, to expand our perspective, because sometimes there's blind spots that we're not able to see about ourselves, or sometimes something is being triggered within you and you not quite know where that coming from until you heard from the other person on the point of like, oh yeah, that was it. Or sometimes we're not able to express what we really feel from the inside. And then you hear it say, exactly, that's what I'm feeling, and that's how I'm taking it. And that's the beauty. And I hope, like my beautiful Shruti said, we actually doing this podcast, it's a joy for us. And we decided to do it because we love doing it and to expand our own perspective. And of course, like, oh, why do we put it outside? Maybe other women, other men be able to expand or be able to have a different perspective than what they have, because we are in this journey of evolution, evolving ourselves. So, and many things from this song, when I heard it, when you sent it to me, I didn't look at the video.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I try not to look at the video because I don't want to be conditioned of what I need to see. I
Yes.
want to see the lyrics in my mind. Like, what am I seeing in me? What is it telling me? And of course, when you look at the video, then you get a different perspective, or even maybe a deeper perspective, like a deeper sense. But I like to do that. And when I started reading the first verse, where it said, put your makeup on, get your nails done, and then run the extra mile, keep it slim so they like you. And then the question is, do they like you after you've done all these things? And then you went ahead and said, get your sexy on, don't be shy, take it off. And they said, take it off. This is what you want to belong. So they like you. Do they like you? You don't have to try hard. So now I hear two voices here.
Yeah.
And that first one, I call it like the lower self, which is the ego, which is that conditioning mind that we have accumulate over many years from our parents, from our teacher, from our society, for our boyfriends, from our husbands, from our friends, from, you name it. And I hear that's the first voice that comes up, the lower, the lower. So trying to tell you, you have to, you have to, you have to. And that voice is not yours. We have to identify, like you said, of course, if you like the makeup, you like the eyelashes, you like all these things, it's your voice. Because if it is, then it's you. It is authentic. You're not doing it for no one else but you, because that's what you truly want, which is fair. But when you're doing it to fit in, when somebody's telling you you have to do this because A, C, and D, then that's not your voice. And then when it says you don't have to try so hard, you don't have to give it all away, that voice is your inner voice. That is your wise voice. That is your higher self, that I like to call it. Your higher self is the wise voice, is that voice that is always guiding you, that is always there with you, that's who part of who you truly are, not just this physical body. So I'm able to identify the duality that we live in this world at this moment. And it's very hard. I do understand that it's very hard, especially for teenagers, to be able to identify those two words, or that duality, but we still have to say it anyways, because some girls might, or some guys might able to grasp that, of course, but we're here to learn. And that's the learning. We have to learn to identify what voice to listen to, which one
Mm.
is more authentic to me. So I think that that is the beauty, to understand it, because we actually holding complete, right? So which voice do I want to listen to more? Which one is my voice? And like you say, if you don't know which one is your voice, let's start doing some inner work. Let's start having some coaching. Let's have some therapy so you can understand. I like the fact that you point out the values. If you don't know your values, or maybe your values have changed and you don't know which one is really resonating with you. So the inner work is for that, so you can know who you are in a deeply sense. And then by knowing that, then you start loving more yourself, and then you start more being grounded and solid, and you don't need to listen too much, because of course we always gonna have to listen to the lower voice. And I said have to listen because it's not like it's gonna go away, but it just identify who's talking so we can move forward. So yeah, I mean, I can go on, but I really like that. And then one point that I do want to focus on before we move into the other verses is when you say you don't have to change a single thing.
Mm,
And you pointed out like externally. I want to point, when I hear this, for me, what comes up is that when people tell you, oh, don't change, you were so nice before, you were so kind, you were this and you were that. And it's like, and now I know where is that coming from. It's
yeah,
coming from a good place from the people, because people like you for who you are, especially when you do kind things, when you consider it. But then again, you're not leaving yourself behind.
right,
And people able to see that. They're not able to point it out what it is,
right.
but they just say don't change. But when people say that to me, I say, okay, thank you, because I appreciate it. But in my mind, I'm saying I'm going in the right direction. I will continue to improve myself. I will
Exactly.
continue to change, to love myself deeper, because I will understand myself deeper, and I will understand the other people
Yeah.
in a deeper way. So
Mm,
always keep changing. And one thing I wanted to make sure I say clearly, and I hope I do that, is that you, who you truly are, not this body, but you, your light, your energy, that never change.
yeah.
And I think that that's what they're trying to point it out. Don't ever change your essence, your
Mm,
beauty inside of you.
yeah.
That never change. What changes is your ego. We're trying to remove the lower ego, the lower self, which is the ego that's always in the negatives. There's always you have to do this, you have to do that. That is the one we try to not eliminate, because we won't be able to eliminate it, but we'll be able to. I like to say we're able to hear the difference and to discern. That's the word I was looking for. To discern who is speaking. And what
Yes.
is the thing that I need to change? What habits do I need to change? What way do I need to change that I speak to myself? Am I talking in a negative way all the time? Am I beating up myself all the time? That I need to change.
Right.
So when they say that don't change a single thing, they're not talking about your habits. They're not talking about, your physical body. They're talking about your essence.
Right.
And that never changed. Sorry,
Mm.
Shruti, if I took a little bit longer to explain
No,
that.
that was beautiful, Ivania. And I think you articulated that in a really unique way, in that you pointed out how, there are things as human beings, we're going to continue to grow throughout our life. And so no one is saying don't keep growing, because after we're done growing physically, we keep growing throughout our life, just like trees do.
Mhm.
And I loved how you were just able to, articulate that in such a beautiful way, to say that you can still continue to work on your habits and, kind of continue to discover who you are at your essence. And I love that, there's a quote that says something like, uh, don't let the world change your smile, use your smile to change the world. And it explains how so many people, when they feel the negativity of the world, they kind of shut themselves down. They feel like whoever they are is not accepted in the world. And yet, what the world actually needs is their uniqueness.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yes.
so I think that's what you were, that's how it landed on me, what you were saying.
Yes.
And it really brought a big smile to my face because, yeah, it does take some time to reach that point within ourselves. And I think was something else you were saying earlier, which was that, we go through different stages. And maybe when we're teenagers, that's a time when we begin to have that separation in a way of the two voices, because prior to that, in our formative years, we are very much a product of our experience,
Mhm.
meaning our parents, our schools, and our immediate, friend circle, for example. And yet, at some point, when we begin to hear this internal voice, that's when you can begin to undertake that inner work, because you're thinking, oh my gosh, which of these voices do I pay attention to? So I loved how you were able to point that out. And right back to you for our next verses.
Yeah, thank you. So the next one says, get your shopping on at the mall, max your credit cards. You don't have to choose, buy it all. Wow. Do
Oh,
they like you? Do they like you? Wait a second. Why should you care what they think of you when you are alone by yourself? Do you like you? Do you like you? You don't have to try so hard. You don't have to give it all the way. You just have to get up, get up, get up, and get up. You don't have to change a single thing. You don't have to try so hard. You don't have to bend until you break. You just have to get up, get up, get up. And it continues
yeah,
saying you don't have to change. So it's more it continued to say you don't have to, which we like to say like the mantra, we're trying to program our mind like, okay, no, let's get out from that program because it's not helping us. But let me go back to that first verse where I started reading, where it said like get your shopping on at the mall. And this is what we see in our environment. This is what we see in society. Okay, you have to buy that new trend, that new things. And don't get me wrong, if you that's the like is that's what you like, it by all means, if that gives you satisfaction, is that what you really love, it's all good. But you have to, and we use that word, we have to, right? But I think, like, I catch myself saying that, but I think like when they tell you to max up your credit cards, there is something wrong there already, that they want to they want to keep you as a slave so you can work hard and you have to pay the bills. That's where that duality comes in on the voice. Do
yeah,
you really have to buy all that stuff? It's more about it's more about meeting yourself in the middle, I think. You don't have to buy everything, but you don't have to buy anything. But it's more like what is more comfortable to you. How you're
yeah,
gonna be living within peace with the decision that you're making. The decision you're making has to come from you, not from what other people are telling you. And that's where we go and you start asking yourself, do I really need to buy it? Do I need it? Is it necessary? And then you start the dialogue, that communication with your mind and with your physical body, with your soul. Okay, then you're having a conversation with you. You're not having a conversation with society. You're not having a conversation with the commercials. You're not having a conversation with your friends or anyone, because everyone has their point of view.
yeah,
And everyone is in a different state, and everyone is in a different state in their life. So it's very hard to catch the right answer. So
yeah,
the right answer is coming from within.
right.
That's the right answer. And then it just says, how they say everything. You don't have to choose this buy it all. Just put it in the credit card. And that's the thing. Once you buy everything, once you have your clothes, when you have what you think you wanted, do they like you?
Yeah,
Do they like it? That's the question we had to be asking ourselves. If I do this, am I doing it for me, or am I doing it to satisfy the other person
exactly.
or my friends or my boyfriend or my husband or society, or maybe that's what they're telling me to do. It's more about, once you do all this, do they even like me?
Yeah,
Because if they're forcing me to buy all this, then doesn't mean that they don't like me because
Yeah.
I'm not doing what they're telling me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is it worth it? Why do I want friends that they don't even like me from who I am?
Yeah.
So I think that's what starts the questions for yourself. And that's in the journey that once you take that journey of self-discovery, those are the questions that you bring in me.
Yeah.
And then you start to really hear what you've been saying all along. Because your voice is there. It's not gone. It's just a little, you're not able to hear because the lower self, the critic voice is louder at the moment.
Yeah.
But once you start quieting that voice, then you'll be able to hear your own voice. And that's the habit.
Yeah.
And that's the programming that we want to be able to hear your higher self more than the lower self.
Exactly.
And
Wow.
then it says, why do you care what they think of you? And those are the questions, those are really great questions. And I invite, the audience to answer these questions for themselves.
Yeah.
Like take a moment, get a piece of paper and write down those questions because the questions he's asking here is so powerful,
Yeah.
especially if you create a time and space for yourself, 10-15 minutes, like little be with yourself
Yeah.
and try not to listen too much to the lower voice or to your lower self, but answer these really questions. Nobody's going to know what you're writing. Only you know. And answer this, and you'll see how clear and loudly your voice is, that wise voice. And do that. It's very, very good. And it says, when you're alone by yourself, do you like you? And I really like that because it's emphasized like once you've done all this, at the end of the day, we are alone, but not alone. But what I mean is like in solitude.
Yeah.
Like you're with you. There's no way you can get away from you. You can get away from anyone, but you cannot get away from you. And the person, like, do you like yourself? And the question, do you like yourself doing all these things? Or you
Yeah.
like yourself more doing what you really want to do? And which one weighs more? What is more beneficial for you? And those are great questions here. So I'm inviting you to do this exercise because it will give you insights of yourself. And then it says, you don't have to try so hard. And then we go back into the chorus. And when it goes, you don't have to try so hard. It's like now we're trying to program our mind. We're like, we don't have to do all that. It's okay. Like it's like telling ourselves it's okay
Right.
to be ourselves. It's okay not to choose to maximize our credit card. It's okay not to wear all that makeup if you don't want to. It's okay that, you choose to be with you. It's okay. And
Right.
it's okay if other people think bad about you. It's okay. And that's the thing. Most of the stories that we created in our minds from the way other people think of us, we're never going to know exactly what they're thinking of us
Right.
because they're not going to tell us. We might hear rumors, but it's not concrete.
Yeah.
So don't even go into that world trying to figure it out what they're saying. It's more like, do you love yourself? Do you like yourself? And if the answer is yes, yes, then you're going to the right direction and you're doing great.
Beautiful.
So yeah, I would leave it up to there because it's the rest is you don't have to, and it's more like programming ourselves. Like, no, it's okay. Like telling us, no, 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 you're good. You're doing good. You're doing good.
Yeah.
What do you think, Shruti?
That was beautiful, Ivania, and especially your invitation to anyone to kind of journal and really begin to answer some of these questions. I really appreciated that because for anyone at any age, if you're able to begin writing a little bit and kind of free write, you're able to begin to look at the chaos of your own mind and out of that begin to sort through what feels like a tangle in our minds into some coherent lines where you're able to identify, well, oh my gosh, so I've been following this thing blindly because I was just not thinking about it, And now I can actually choose to, follow, for example, creating art, or because it brings me a lot of comfort, or I can, choose to pursue this hobby, skateboarding, because that's what brings me joy, versus just, oh, I'm doing something because if I don't do it, then I won't have friends. So for example, if someone doesn't want to party, but their friends, the only friends that they have are the ones that party, and they feel bad if they don't go to the party. That's the kind of difference that you can begin to find when you're able to write some of these things down. And I want to bring back the point about your values. Really take a look at just writing down what are values that you feel your parents have passed on to you, and then write down in when you're just looking at the way you live your life currently, what are values that you use every day to live that life?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
that's actually what is the closest to who you are. And I just want to touch on one line from the chorus. So I really love the chorus here because, again, it is that repetition of this, you don't have to try so hard. And I feel the pressure and the tension just releasing from my own neck and shoulders as I read these lines, because that's what many of us carry with us these days, is that pressure, that fear of missing out if
Yes.
we are not engaged in something that other people seem to be enjoying on social media. Whether they are or not, we'll never know.
Mhm.
But it says you don't have to bend until you break. And this is something that I can say that working in the mental health services field, you see all the time. People that have been pushed past their limit, in the sense of whether it's burning out at work or feeling very unsettled or unfulfilled in their lives. And that's what it means that you're bending until you break, is you're finding yourself buried under the weight of expectations. And, anyone can put expectations in front of us, but it's up to us to decide whether that needs to be the yardstick by which we measure ourselves. And to a certain degree, those of us that have to go out into the world and have a job, we will have some kind of an artificial yardstick to measure us. But the beautiful thing here is we can at least very deliberately untangle our self-worth from what that yardstick says. So, oh my goodness, if you're not the top salesperson at your company for 3 years in a row, but you have done wonderful things for your clients, you shine and radiate. You're a beautiful, person just the way you are, even if you never receive an award for it. So I just want to point that out, that that line really spoke to me. You don't have to bend until you break. Find your own way, carve your own path. And coming down to it, it repeats the chorus twice, just because in this song, one of the things that's happening visually in this part of the song is they're showing all of these real women that Colbie invited to participate in this video with her. And they showed each of those women's before and after, in the sense that before with a full face of makeup on, and then they begin to take off the different pieces. And in a way, it kind of shows, what are things that people hide from the world because they think they're flaws. And I have to mention one quote here, which is about the moon. And the quote goes something like this, that the moon doesn't have to be full, yet it always shines, and we look to the moon and
Mhm.
we don't criticize it for
Yeah.
not shining, even on the days when it's just a tiny sliver or not even there, right? It's still valuable, it's still
Yeah.
worthy. And so that's what I want to say about us as human beings too, is, we, even those of us that are the spokespeople for this kind of work, for coaching, for example, right? There's often a question, well, oh, if you're a coach, then that means that you have achieved, there's some pinnacle that you have reached. And I want to say that we too are practitioners of this work. And why we choose to share about it is that we have reached a space in our own hearts and minds where we have determined that our values tell us that sharing this with others is our purpose. And so
Yes.
I would say that that's the difference. And that the day that you decide what it is that you want to share with the world, what your purpose is, then that's what you get to do. And it doesn't mean that any of us are authorities. Ultimately, we're authorities on our own life,
Mhm,
and we
mhm.
get to decide what to do there. So finally, I love this last verse, which says, take your makeup off, let your hair down, take a breath. And I can just feel all this tension melting off of me as I read this and my breath just easing. Look into the mirror at yourself. Don't you like you? Because I like you. And that almost brings tears
Oh
to
my
my eyes.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And I get some goosebumps and just some tingles in my heart when I read this verse, and it's powerful. And some of it goes back to a story that you had shared about how when you looked in the mirror for the first time and tried to tell yourself, "I love you," and since then I've done it as well, and it is one of the hardest things to do, and uh, you have to really work on, kind of anchoring into your self-love over a period of time until you look in the mirror and you're just joyful to see the person that you see there. And it's not because they're looking particularly beautiful or happy with life or what have you, but you just look and you see that pure essence, like you were saying, of that person. And so yeah, and asking that question, don't you like you? And maybe answering that with 10 things that you like about yourself, because that is something that I think we don't do often enough, is really taking a pause rather than just going to the 10 next things that we have to do. Just take a pause and appreciate all of the beauty that you're bringing and creating in the world.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, that's beautiful the way she ended up with this
yeah,
song and the way you explained it. It is so powerful. I think this is like the most powerful piece because it brings you more down to you, not to this physical. Like I said, like take your mask off, because we use that term mask, or we use that term uh it's like take all your personalities,
yeah,
that you have. When you have a different face when you go to work, you have a different face when you're a mom, or you have a different way with your wife, when you're a
yeah,
friend. But which one is you?
yeah,
And that's the beauty, is that all of them,
yeah,
it's only one, but you have played different roles. And then say, well, you take everything down, like, okay, let's take everything down, and then you take a moment to be with you. How beautiful is that, to give yourself a few minutes to you, to entire you? Because if it wasn't for you, you won't be able to walk, you'll be able to work, you won't be able to have any action, you won't be able to move forward. It's everything, it's in you. And it's a
absolutely.
take a deep breath, meaning relaxed. This is how I take it. Just relax. Like, we don't need to be anyone at this moment. Nobody needs us at this moment.
Yeah,
We need each other. And I'm talking about like within yourself. And said, look in the mirror at yourself. And then and I want you guys, please answer this question because it's so powerful. I said, do you like you?
yeah,
Look at yourself and try to answer all these questions. And it's a good thing when you say, so to write 10 things that you like about yourself,
yeah,
because that will give you the power of, or empowerment, like what you do, Shruti, in your life as a life coach. You empower the women because that's coming from within. It's not that you're empowering them, it's that you asking them, you're taking them in a self-guide discovery to
yes,
see that power they possess.
yeah,
All of us. There's not one that possesses more. No, 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 no. Men and women, kids, you name it. All of us possess this. And you
right,
just put in a mirror in front of them so
yeah,
they can see their power.
yeah,
And the more they do the power, the more the more they do the work, the more they're able to know themselves, then they start to recognize, not with an attitude, not with entitlement. We're not talking about entitlement or the attitude that you own the world. No, it's more coming with love, with compassion, and with kindness, and giving you grace to you.
Yeah.
And that will give you automatically grace to give to others, because you have understood that journey of different paths that everyone is going.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of trying to discover ourselves and to love ourselves, so we can love others, so we can see that there's only one love. And if you think about it, love, it's everything.
Mhm.
And that's why it's so hard to get it, because we think everything is in the outside. No, everything is in the inside. The rest, we can choose who we want to be, who we want to hang out with, who we want to expand different experiences.
Yeah.
We can choose, because when we come in from a place of love, kindness, and compassion, that's where you always going to gravitate, and that's where you're always going to come out of you. And that I think you mentioned transformation in the video, that the women is going into transformation. And that's what it says, like, that's what I mean, when you go into yourself, when you go into the mirror, you're transforming yourself, that physical self, that meaning you're not gonna beat up yourself anymore.
Exactly.
You're gonna forgive everything that you've done, because we're here to make mistakes in order for us to grow. And you're gonna forgive all your failures and continue welcoming the failures, because the failure, that word failure, is means that we're moving forward, because we're
Exactly.
trying. So that failure is always welcome, because we're moving forward. That person is not failing, is because it's not trying.
Yes. Well
And
said.
let's try to give words a new meaning, because we had the wrong connotation about
Yeah.
failure. Failure is you trying and you making it. That's what it is. You are making it. So there you go. Sorry, Shruti.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Thank you so much for that, Ivania. And I was going to say, as we continue to do our life coaching work, it just occurred to me as you were sharing about this that, it feels like being a tour guide to the most important journey that you'll
Yes.
ever take. And it's sightseeing on the inside.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
I
I love
feel
it.
like
Yes,
that's
yes,
what
yes.
we do for, as part of our passion,
Yes.
uh, that we, kind of show people the landmarks that are within themselves. And among them, one of the most important things that I love to do is introduce people to the voice of the wise self, to the voice of their intuition. And you know, yeah, it is such an important part um, of our life to undertake this journey. And each of us will come to that crossroads in our own time. So if you're not there yet, you don't have to be in a hurry. But I think if you are finding this conversation, if you're gravitating towards this podcast and these episodes, you may very well be at the point where you're beginning to think in this way. So with that, I just want to thank everyone for joining in, and also like and subscribe if you're liking our content, and do share some kind comments, including any suggestions for songs. We do get suggestions from our family members, friends, and colleagues all the time, and we'll continue to bring some insightful and inspiring songs each week.
Yeah, thank
And
you so much. Thank you, thank you. And like I say, we are creators. So continue create your day, your weekend, your week, your month, your year. Create the lifestyle that you want to live in this life. Thank you. And see you soon.
bye.
Bye.